Hello, welcome to Cynic's Sanctuary of Sleepless Nights. I'm your host, Cynic, and I'll be guiding you through the darkest corners of the internet. If you're a fan of Reddit's or /nosleep, you're in the right place. Every week, I'll be bringing you chilling tales of horror, the paranormal, and the unexplained, all inspired by the best of our /nosleep. From creepypastas to terrifying personal experiences, I'll be diving into the world of sleepless nights and emerging with stories that will haunt your dreams. So, if you're ready to confront the darkness, subscribe to Cynic's Sanctuary of Sleepless Nights, hit that notification bell, and join me on this journey into the heart of horror.
I woke up this morning to find my phone lying on my nightstand, exactly where I'd left it. But something was off. The screen was on, the camera roll open. At first, I thought I'd accidentally unlocked it in my sleep, but as I scrolled through the photos, my stomach dropped. There were 5 new pictures. I didn't take them. The first photo was of me, asleep in my bed. It was dimly lit, the glow of my phone's screen casting faint shadows across the room. I could see myself lying there, my mouth slightly open, my hand dangling off the edge of the bed. The angle was all wrong. Someone had taken this photo while I was sleeping. I felt a chill creep up my spine, but I told myself it had to be some kind of accident. A glitch, maybe. I swiped to the second photo, hoping for an explanation. This one was closer. A close-up of my face, just inches away. My eyes were shut, but the rest of the photo sent a jolt of fear through me. Behind me, in the reflection of the mirror on my dresser, there was a shadow. It wasn't a clear figure, but it was there, something dark, humanoid but warped and wrong. I dropped the phone on my bed, my hands trembling. My heart was pounding as I sat there, staring at the screen. It had to be a prank, I thought. Someone hacked my phone or broke in during the night. I checked every door and window. They were all locked from the inside. Nothing was out of place. I wanted to call the police, but what could I say? That my phone took pictures of me while I was asleep? I tried to brush it off as some bizarre glitch, but deep down, I knew better. I waited until morning to look at the rest. The third photo made my blood run cold. It was taken from the hallway outside my bedroom. The door was slightly ajar, and through the gap, I could see myself lying in bed. But this time, the reflection in the glass frame on the wall showed a shadowy figure standing in the room. It was tall, unnaturally so, with a head that tilted sharply to one side. I stared at the image, trying to process what I was seeing. There was no way someone could have been in my house without me hearing them. Unless they still were. The fourth photo was worse. It was me again, still asleep. But now, the shadow wasn't in the reflection. It was standing right next to my bed. The face was blurred, but its outline was clear, an impossibly long figure looming over me. I couldn't breathe. My skin prickled as if something were watching me. I clutched the phone, dreading what the last photo might show. With trembling hands, I swiped to the fifth image. It wasn't of me. It was a screenshot of my phone's home screen. The clock read 3 a.m., the battery at 67%, exactly as it was at that moment. Before I could process it, the screen went black. Then I heard it, the faint click of a camera shutter. From somewhere inside the room.
Hope that gave you chills because I definitely got some. Here's another story from another Redditor, titled Yuletide Terror.
I'm a seasonal worker at a dying mall in Michigan. I remember when this place used to be popping, especially around the holiday season. But now, the only businesses that are open are a J.C. Penney, a Goodwill, a Mexican restaurant, a Dunham's Sporting Goods, and the saddest Victoria's Secret you've ever seen. When I was a kid, we would come here right before Christmas. We never really bought anything. I would just throw all my pocket change into the fountain and we'd eat at the Mexican restaurant. But most importantly, we'd go see the big man himself, Santa Claus. Even though my parents never told me that Santa was a real mythical being, they did tell me that Santa is a fun game that everyone participated in for Christmas. Looking back now, I just think they didn't want me to spoil the illusion for any other kids at school. This Christmas I was the mall Santa. I was home from college on Christmas break, and everywhere I applied for work was staffed full. The pay for being this mall Santa was weirdly good for a dying mall. Apparently some local eccentric rich guy enjoyed making this magic happen, so he sponsored the event every year. The guy was paying me $45 an hour, 5 hours a day for a week. I hopped on that opportunity before anyone else could. The first day of work was easy enough. About 30 families came through. The kids cried as they got their pictures taken, and they told me they wanted V-Bucks and told me I had skibbity riz. I'm only 21, but these kids were making me feel like I was the actual thousands of years old Santa Claus. I'm not one to critique the younger generation, because I was once that kid calling everyone bae, and I screamed butter whenever I got a gold ingot in Minecraft. I'm just glad the kids are alright. The one upside to the gig was that I was really hitting it off with the woman who was playing the elf. She was the mysterious rich man's daughter. Her name was Amara, and boy was she a smoke show. She told me about how her dad has been the CEO of various oil companies, health insurance agencies, and is actually the owner of this mall. She said that he didn't have the heart to close the place because it meant so much to him as a child. The rest of the week went about as you'd expect. Kids, pictures, V-Bucks, and flirting with Amara. On the last day of work, Amara's father came in to meet me. His name was Damien, and he was super cool. He looked like he could be anywhere from 35 to 75 years old. It was hard to get an accurate gauge. Amara told me he uses some weird experimental anti-aging stuff. He came in dressed as an elf and interacted with all the kids and even handed out $100 V-Bucks gift cards and candy to all of them. He was a superstar. After the night was over, he invited me over to his place for a big Christmas dinner. Christmas wasn't for another 2 days, but he said that he wanted to congratulate me on being his best mall Santa he'd ever employed. I was starving and poor, so going to the strange multimillionaire's house for fancy people food sounded a lot better than another McChicken for the 4th night in a row. It took an hour and a half or so for the chauffeur to get us to their house. They lived in the middle of nowhere way back up in the wood. The driveway must have been at least 2 miles long. The house was immaculate. It was a giant 25,000 square feet log cabin. The fence and gate that surrounded the property was gilded with various ironwork art pieces. The one I locked in on was a nativity scene, but the baby Jesus was missing. I couldn't tell what was in his place, but it didn't seem like that mattered. We got inside, and one of his many butlers gave me a bag. He told me to go take a shower and to meet them in the main dining room. Amara led me upstairs to the bathhouse for me to take my shower. When I say bathhouse, what I mean is a giant room with a bathtub the size of your standard middle-class backyard pool. The walls and ceilings were full of shower heads that must have had a bajillion different settings, and some of them detached from the wall. There were vents all around that let in warm steam that smelled like herbs and spices like rosemary and lavender. I was in heaven. I went to take my clothes off, but Amara was still there looking at me. I hesitated, but she insisted that I undress. She even led the way by doing so herself. I'll spare you the details. After the most amazing shower of my life, Amara and I went down to the dinner table. It must have been 30 feet long, and it was full of food. 5 turkeys all cooked in different styles, 5 vats of mashed potatoes, a bunch of freshly baked bread, mashed butternut squash, veggie platters, 3 hams, lamb chops, beef Wellington, and desserts on desserts on desserts. It was amazing. I ate and ate and ate. All but a few of his employees were eating. The ones who were serving had already eaten their fill. It wasn't until my 5th glass of wine that Damien spoke. Damien, I would like to wish all of you here today a very Merry Christmas. For those of you, and I see many of you, chuckles mirthfully, who have drank too much are free to spend the night. We have plenty of beds and rooms for all. Please keep eating and drinking and making merry. I must now retire to my bedroom. I can't party like I used to. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. We all responded with a boisterous, Merry Christmas, and clapped as he left. Amara and I were seated next to each other, and she kept filling my glass with exotic wines that I could never afford. She kept whispering sweet nothings into my ear until it was time for us all to go to bed. She led me to a room that was styled to look like a small cozy cabin complete with a fireplace and bearskin rug. Although she offered to stay the night with me, I was too drunk and too tired to partake in Yuletide carols, if you catch my drift. She kissed me and told me good night. As soon as my head hit the pillow, I was out like a light. I woke up around 3 a.m. with a start. I was disoriented since I wasn't in my own bed, but I quickly remembered where I was. I rolled over in the king-sized bed and saw someone laying in bed next to me. The figure was facing away from me, so I couldn't tell who it was. I assumed it was Amara until I heard them speak. Damien, you know I really did like you. And with that I jumped out of the bed and ran for the door. When I flung it open, I saw Amara was there. She stabbed me in the neck with some kind of syringe, and within seconds I was slumped over on the floor. Still very much conscious. They dragged me down to the basement and chained me up to some pipes that were running along the ceiling. Me, why are you doing this to me? Damien, well, we gotta stay young somehow. You see, Amara and I are very old. I'm not a CEO and my name isn't Damien. It's Diva. It was Riva and I am what you call a diva. I'm the last of my kind, so I've taken my classification as my proper name. Me, that doesn't answer my question. Please, just let me go. I'm sorry. Diva, we've been beaten down and forgotten by your world. You know, around this time of year, we used to be lauded by occultic sections, praised, adored. Now you humans honor that start-up god Jesus and that fat red saint. We need your soul. Then his nails elongated into talons, his teeth into fangs. Amara's beautiful form morphed into a grotesque and hideous hag. They both latched their maws to my neck and began to drink. Just before I was about to pass out, they detached. Diva, the soul resides in the blood. It's the tether between this world and the unseen realm, where the divine meets the material. We're going to finish you off on Christmas. Have a good night. Christmas Eve was not enjoyable for me. The butlers force-fed me sweet fruits, wine, and bread to get my blood to be more delectable for Diva and Amara. I tried to resist by forcing myself to vomit, but it was no use. They just cleaned me up and stuffed me full. I was about to consign myself to death for tomorrow until I heard a struggle. I heard clanging and clashing. The torrent of footsteps made such a clatter above my head. I began to scream for help. Then it went quiet. It was as still as a crypt in the sticks. Suddenly I heard loud, jingling, heavy footsteps coming down the stairs towards the door that led into my prison. The door opened and the body of Diva appeared. His eyes were rolled back into his head, and he had a huge piece of coal jammed into his mouth, complete with a broken jaw. Then in walked a man clad in red. Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas! Need a lift?
If you survived this episode, congratulations. Don't forget to subscribe for more terrifying tales. Hit that notification bell to stay up to date. Check out our community in the comments below. If you're feeling brave, share your own sleepless night stories with me on social media using #CynicsNightStories. Until next time, when the darkness closes in, sleep tight, but don't say I didn't warn you.